Hi, did you know that around 14,000 Australian Defence Force reservists have deployed on operations overseas and within Australia since 1999? Last year, in 2018, I was involved in a young veterans engagement campaign sponsored by Melbourne Legacy called Shout Out, and we learned firsthand about the serious difficulties some reservists experience coming back from overseas deployments, especially in relation to their civilian work. My name is Mark Schroffel, and over the last few months, with the support of Melbourne Legacy, RSL Victoria and Swinburne University, I've been conducting a study into the transition experiences of Army Reservist personnel with a focus on the challenges they face when re-entering the civilian workforce. 11 reservists, 10 males and 1 female, volunteered for the study. They were interviewed using journey mapping to record the step-by-step details of their experiences. This step-by-step approach allowed me to look for common challenges and themes. The veterans interviewed had all served on at least one overseas deployment. The deployment locations represented in the study included the Solomon Islands, East Timor, Iraq and Afghanistan. Their ages range from the mid-20s through to the early 50s. The average age was 44 and the median age was also 44. They came from a variety of vocational and industry backgrounds including education, information technology, financial services, construction and sales. Before I go any further, I must say how extremely grateful I am for their involvement in the project and the spirit in which they shared their stories so that others might benefit in the future. This video report outlines my preliminary findings relating to several themes that have been identified as part of the study. I must stress that these are preliminary findings only and a final report is expected to be released sometime in late October, early November. So for the first theme, Theme 1, difficulties in finding work or re-entering previous employment. Every reserve veteran who participated expressed some level of dissatisfaction about their civilian employment experiences after getting back from overseas duty. Some veterans, especially the younger veterans with limited civilian work experience, spoke about the difficulties they encountered when attempting to re-establish civilian employment. A major obstacle for younger veterans was finding employment that valued their skills and experiences. For example, veteran J, who was deployed into a war zone to perform highly specialised administrative duties for a period of 9 months, found it extremely difficult to translate that experience and secure meaningful employment. Veteran J told me,
I had almost every family member and friends asking me constantly, where are you? Where are you living? Have you found work yet? So I'm telling people probably 10 times a day, no, I don't have a job yet. I'm still jobless and homeless.
Theme 2, the overall impact of Army Reserve service on civilian careers. The impact on reserve service on civilian careers was often expressed by reservists in terms of the years lost. The time they put into Army Reserve service prevents them from taking on civilian professional development opportunities such as extra courses and qualifications. One veteran said,
In my eyes, my deployment set my civilian career back about 5 years.
Another said,
So, being in private industry, there's generally no reserve leave. So anything you're using is your annual leave or non-paid leave. I don't think I had a holiday for like 10 years. It's go to work, go on an army course, go to work, and back to army again.
And added,
You can't really go to school for professional development because you're doing Tuesday nights, you're doing weekends, you're doing work. You can't professionally develop to get to the next level. So cumulatively, I would say the Army Reserve has probably cost me 5 years of my civilian career. Promotion-wise, I think it holds you back.
Veteran M described the long-lasting effects of civilian job choices that he or she made in order to accommodate an Army Reserve career.
My partner said to me, you don't get paid anywhere near as much as you should, and you've picked that job because a good 6, 7, 8 years ago it fitted in with the Army Reserve. And that's not beneficial for us as a family because you're not in the Army anymore.
Theme 3, the importance of peer and community support. Several veterans spoke about the valuable support they gained from their extended network of friends and associates outside of the military. For some, this support was instrumental in making the transition to more stable and satisfying work. For example, this veteran spoke about the importance of the support from military colleagues and ex-service charities.
So we had a reservist deployed with us who worked for a government department. He was quite high up in it. He was helping me. He looked over my CV, helped me with cover letters and whatnot, gave me some tips on how to get my foot in the door.
Another example is the veteran who changed careers and secured a new job through an ex-military friend.
He said to me, Mate, I know someone that's just opening up a business. I organised an interview as soon as I got back. Like, day one, I got the job.
Theme 4, identity coherence as an important factor in successful transitions. It was observed that veterans who are able to contextualise their military experiences seem to be happier about their transition than those veterans who maintain a strong affinity with their military identity. One said,
So much of what we do in the first world, it's just so unimportant compared to what you do on a deployment. It just doesn't seem to be anywhere near as worthwhile.
Another said,
I was a good soldier, and then to leave and transition was the hardest thing. Because you're seen in the community as military strong, and you know you are good. You're sharp at your skills, and then you come back and you're nothing.
One veteran spoke at length about the importance of guiding veterans through the process of readopting their civilian identities. This veteran made the following points.
There was no training to help me transition back into a civilian life. There was no psychologist telling me how to create a new identity as a civilian, how to resume your old identity as a civilian. These identity shifts have to happen and there's no structure. There was no guidance given to me on that. That was a missed opportunity.
Theme 5, unexpected changes at work. Several veterans expressed anger and frustration about unexpected changes in their workplace that occurred while they were away. In some cases, they expressed feelings of being undervalued. Veteran P spoke about the experience of being sidelined.
I could sort of see the writing on the wall. All right, I think I've been culled, unofficially. They were going to wait me out.
Veteran I had a similar experience.
Oh, I got dumped on by my boss. He was paid by Defence to hold that position for me. So the sneaky bugger, when I got back, he said, oh look, I don't really need you in the head office anymore. We've replaced you. You can go work in the retail store. So I got shoved into the retail store, which I was really dirty about. 30 years old, working in a retail shop. Not for me, mate.
Theme 6, institutional failure. Every veteran interviewed raised matters relating to institutional failures within the Australian Defence Force. Alarmingly, a number of veterans reported not being able to access post-deployment psychological screening that should occur within the 3 months of their return back to Australia. A number of veterans also felt that the ADF was not doing enough to ensure their employment was properly protected in accordance with the Defence Reserve Service Protection Act of 2001. 3 of the veterans interviewed claimed that employers did not honour their obligations under the Act, despite being compensated to do so. One blatantly terminated the reservist employment once the government support payments had stopped. The other 2 were effectively moved out of their jobs and put on the sidelines of the business. Veteran H, who was diagnosed with a mental illness relating to the deployment, said,
Oh, the other thing I forgot to say was about how we're supposed to get a second psych interview. I never had it.
Veteran J spoke about feeling abandoned by the ADF.
No one's ever called me, ever. From the day I landed in Australia to now, no one's ever done a follow-up call or nothing. My post-deployment psych screen was probably due 2 months ago, 3 months ago. No one's followed up. I could be like totally wigging out, homeless, mental issues. No one's contacted me.
And despite having injuries believed to be caused by reserve service, Veteran M spoke about the barriers in seeking support from the Department of Veterans Affairs.
I don't understand DVA. I've never made a DVA claim because I don't want the stress. I don't want the problems. I don't know the medical system. I haven't applied for anything. I don't know how all that works, especially in the reserves.
Veteran D, whose civilian job is within an emergency services organisation, raised concerns about veterans getting access to adequate mental health support and compensation when both employers might have a shared responsibility towards the veteran.
If you break your leg on deployment, Army broke your leg on deployment. But who caused that person's mental health to break? You know, was it there, or was it here, or was it both?
Theme 7, delayed effect. The journey mapping process revealed that negative effects of the transitions can be delayed and in some cases occurs after an initial period of stability. Some veterans reported few problems in the earlier stages of their transitions, only to face more serious issues once the routines of civilian life had been re-established. Veteran O told me,
I suppose the realisation has grown on me the longer I've moved away from the experience that most people just can't comprehend what is required when you go on deployment.
Veteran B talked about an easy early transition to later experience ongoing issues in maintaining employment.
After getting back from deployment, I transitioned to civilian work quite easily, really easy actually, and then my civilian career has pretty much gone haywire. I've had probably about 18 jobs in the past 7 years.
So what next? Well, more analysis is required to complete this study. You can see from these preliminary findings that some Army reservists experience considerable disruption when transitioning back into civilian employment after operational duty. This exploratory study revealed that reserve veterans often deal with life challenges that have lasting effects on the course and quality of their lives. Many of these experiences are unique to reserve service. There is a clear need for more research to go towards helping these veterans make the most of their experiences and to find out what can be done to address the failures in the systems of support. My intention is to seek approval for an additional study that will be conducted as an action research project, working with leading ex-service organisations, veterans and their families to co-design and evaluate support programs for employment transitions. To close out, I would like to reiterate my thanks to Melbourne Legacy, RSL Victoria, and especially to the veterans who participated in this study. I would also like to acknowledge my PhD supervisors, Associate Professor Chris Mason and Professor Anne Bardol. I must also mention Professor Nita Cherry, who played a vital role in the early stages of this project. Thank you. The ethical approvals for this study were provided by Swinburne University of Technology Human Research Ethics Committee reference number 20191207 and Department of Defence and Veterans Affairs Human Research Ethics Committee protocol reference 110-19. The opinions expressed within this report are those of the author and do not necessarily reflect those of Defence or DVA or reflect requirements under extant policy.